This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, nerds. I'm Mark Weber, and you are listening to A Graphic Conversation, the bi-weekly podcast where we read, discuss, and review the best, and hopefully not the worst, in graphic novels. I'm joined, as I always am, by the original man-child, Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And for this episode, we continued our journey through Morning Glories.
It feels good to be back.
For Volume 5, which... I'm blanking on the name of it, so I'm going to get that. You said TP?
Yeah, it's TP, isn't it?
TP?
Yeah.
As in what?
Like T and then P.
As in toilet paper?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'm going to look it up on our thing. TP.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that it?
It just says Morning Glories. TP. What the fuck does TP stand for?
Oh, I told you it was TP.
You did. You weren't lying.
Are you going to redo it?
Sure. It's not long.
Give me 2 seconds.
I like that. And I don't know what the name of this thing is.
And then I'm like, TP. I think that's what it is.
What a stupid
I don't know
name.
what it stands for. Technical points?
I think it stands for toilet paper.
Technique points.
All right. We're at about,
in case
you're curious, we're at about 240. Just in case you wanted to know that.
Okay.
For your cutting purposes.
Editing skills.
Welcome, nerds. I'm Mark Weber, and you're listening to A Graphic Conversation, the bi-weekly podcast where we read, discuss, and review the best, and hopefully not the worst, in graphic novels. I'm joined, as I always am, by Ricky Widmer, the original man-child.
Oh, I went too soon. Didn't let your original man-child.
The original man-child. That's a bad Ricky. And today, on this A Graphic Conversation, we read and continued our journey through Morning Glories.
Thank God we're back.
Volume 5, TP.
Which I don't know what it stands for.
We don't know what it stands for. It might be toilet paper.
I'm going to say technique points because of how much magic and how much kind of things we're thinking about and mystical forces we're dealing with.
I'm going with toilet paper because the cylinder looks like a roll of toilet paper.
Yes, it does. Looks very much like a cylinder of toilet paper.
If it was silver.
Mm-hmm.
So the way this podcast works, in case you've never seen one of these before, we're going to have a spoiler-free section. That's what we're in right now, where we'll talk a little bit about some things with the graphic novel. We will warn you before we enter the spoiler zone, where we will, not hold back. So you'll have the opportunity to press pause and read if that's something you're interested in. If you don't care, then cool. You can just be here for the conversation.
And the one thing I have to add, because we got a comment on a season 1 episode or even a prequel episode, someone said, well, they didn't read it. Well, we're not reading it here on the podcast. We have already read it and coming into it.
That would be against copyright rules.
So I could see how there was a little confusion. We're not reading it here on the podcast, but we've already read it and now we're going to discuss it.
Yes. I am less understanding than Ricky is. That would be breaking copyright law. Mm-hmm. We don't intend on doing that.
Yeah, we don't do that at all.
Like I said, the way we're going to do this, we'll talk a little bit about it first. So, obviously, Ricky, we were both excited
to get back into this. I love this series. This is an amazing series.
It's a lot of fun. You had asked me a question, and I want to get to it. You asked me, why has this not been made into a TV show?
This feels like when I read this, I read it and I go, this feels like it'd be perfect to be adapted to a TV show. Like either a TV drama or like a drama kind of geared towards teens.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of like that. I'm trying to think of like not Degrassi,
like Vampire Diaries.
Kind of like that kind of like either geared toward teens or a drama for like the CW to have. Like why haven't they tried to adapt this into TV?
It's difficult. I mean, without getting into spoilers, not specific things that are difficult, like everything Casey does. But
defying time and everything.
The thing that's so interesting to me on it is it's geared towards that. It looks like I wouldn't be surprised if writing this, it was supposed to be a TV pilot and it got struck down and like, well, I'll just do it as a comic book.
And
instead.
they even do it like at the beginning of this one. They even talk about how, and at the beginning of season 2 here, it's like, you're even making it fucking episodical and seasonal to where I'm like,
that would have been a long season.
I'm like, this could be perfect for a TV series.
I think it would be difficult to pull off a little bit, but it is geared towards it, and it could be done. It could certainly be done.
I'm just surprised no one's had the kind of will to say, yeah, you know what, we want that. Let's make it. Let's get some writers in here. Let's make that a TV series.
Getting it that Lost. We're gonna get to it because I don't know if you guys have seen Lost. This, in case you have never heard of Morning Glories, it is Lost plus The Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Essentially, is what it is.
Okay.
And I know Ricky's never seen Lost, but it's a perfect comparison.
Seen The Breakfast Club though.
Yeah, there you go. So just to, I don't really want to give too much of a description right now, just in case anybody is going to want to go back into the past and read some, issues 1 through or volumes 1 through 4.
They're amazing reads too. Like this is the one series. Like I feel like how you feel for another one we're gonna read later this season in Manhattan Projects.
Yep.
The way you're excited for that is how I'm excited for this.
And I totally was excited for Morning Glories. Without getting into spoilers, I was a little disappointed in this particular volume.
I wasn't. I was not at all.
For reasons we will get into. But here's the thing for me, and for Morning Glories. Let me just give you a really quick rundown. It's basically these kids who are special in various ways get chosen to come to this academy, the Morning Glory Academy, where there are some sinister secrets. And let's find out what happens. And in this particular one, this is coming immediately after some incredibly surprising events that took place at the school, at the academy. And there's a lot going on in a lot of different places, and things might get revealed. There's my description for you.
Trying to keep it as vague as possible, Mark.
That's what Morning Glories is, as vague as possible, to a little bit of an annoyance at times. So, Ricky, I will ask this because we ask it all the time. Who is this for? Who should read Morning Glories?
If you like drama, if you like mystery, then this is for you. Or if you like sci-fi as well, like the supernatural, this is right up your alley because like the things that they're dealing with are definitely supernatural. It's kind of got that mystery take to it to where it makes you think. I know that Mark is on the side of,
I love to think.
Especially this one, you're like, I wasn't happy because of some of the directions they take you. And they will throw something out there. You will ask a question about it. And then
it will never
5
get
graphic novels later, they will then answer the question. Like, I want to say it was one of the questions, and actually, I'm going to save it for spoiler zone because that's going to be a huge spoiler.
But to kind of follow up on what you're saying, I think there was a question we asked in Volume 2
that just got answered.
In Volume 5,
it was a hashtag, actually.
It was a
hashtag.
And I don't want to say that we 100% got it answered. We got it answered in a roundabout way where you can infer things.
I was satisfied. That's basically what I'm saying. I was satisfied knowing that my question was at least thought
addressed.
About. Yes, it was addressed.
They addressed
and
it.
at the end, I was like, oh, yeah. I even came to you last week. We were supposed to record this a week ago. And I was like, oh my God, did you finish it? Did you finish it? And you're like, no. And I went, because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to mention it and kind of bounce the idea off you, and I couldn't because you hadn't read it.
Yeah,
and
but
we had to postpone it a week.
I got to it.
You always get to it, buddy.
And, well, no, I mean, I got to what you wanted to talk about anyways. It was pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah, I got to reading it.
I got to it. We read it. And I think the only thing I would add to that for people who should read it, if you really like in-depth plots, if you want a plot that really gets in and continues and digs and digs
that has multiple storylines.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on.
Which sometimes they're hard to follow, but I like that there's multiple. Like, the 2 kids might be over here while one's over here doing something else, and they're all kind of coexisting at the same time.
Time. It's a key word.
We'll see.
Also, if you like Doctor Who, there might be something special in this for you.
Maybe.
Some wibbly wobbly things or whatever that quote is. I don't know because I don't really watch Doctor Who.
I never watched Doctor Who.
I watch it on Christmas, and that's it because they always have a Christmas special.
Yeah, I never watched Doctor Who.
Watch it with my parents. And it's tough because there's so much we want to talk about that is in the spoiler zone. So is there anything else you want to say outside of spoiler zone? Because I think we need to just get into it.
I went to the spoiler zone.
You can press pause now if you would like, but not like right now in a few seconds. You can press pause and read it if you would like. We highly, highly recommend it. I mean, this is probably one of our most recommended, with few exceptions, one of our most recommended
with few exceptions
things to read. So you should definitely go out and do it. We highly recommend it. But if you don't want to, if you want to just be here for the conversation, we're fine with that too. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Press pause now. All right. So spoiler zone.
No.
We are here. Okay. So the one thing I will say is that I wish we had read this immediately after Truant's.
Yeah,
that made it a little bit hard.
It took me a while. Like, I kept having to go back pages and go, wait, what? Huh? Who? Huh? Until I kind of... The one thing that made it easier, though, after each issue, having... I don't even remember what his name was, but he was some teacher or staff member kind of being like, hey, guys, a lot of shit happened here. Let me help you explain it.
It's so interesting. Two things about that. One, I love it that it's diving into fan theories.
And it's breaking the fourth wall.
It's very self-aware of, this is what you guys are talking about, so let me address some of it.
Let me ask you this, because you brought up the fan theory. The one they mentioned was, well, some fans have had thoughts about whether Ike is the headmaster.
Can I get to it in a second, but I want to say something first?
Go ahead.
The other thing I will say about this, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I feel like if you need an appendix to later...
Then it's too much.
If you need to explain things after I've read it, we've gone a little far.
Because I'll say this to that. I'm going to ask you what you had thought about the headmaster thing. Because when they brought that up and I read that paragraph, that little section, I actually went in my head and I went, I didn't even have a thought that either of them were the headmaster.
I agree. I
didn't have that thought at all.
No, I didn't think of it either until they said it, and I was like, oh.
Maybe?
I guess this makes sense.
Maybe?
And this graphic novel is so time-sensitive and time-based of you do this in the future, and then you do that in the past, and then past self goes into the future, and future self goes into the past, that it was like, this kind of makes sense. Number one issue, of course, with the whole Ike thing, and I think they addressed it, is then he basically banged his daughter? Because Headmister and Ike and Georgina have that little thing going. I don't think they actually bang. I'm just saying that. But they had that weird seduction thing, and she would probably know that that's her dad.
Yeah.
As a young version. So, I don't know. I mean, it would make sense because she really freaks out about him possibly being there. And it would make sense with Hunter because Hunter is very special and in his own world and kind of off to the side, and they're saying, hey, you're going to get answers. They have basically promised us that Hunter will have the answer to the number one question, two questions. Why the fuck are we here?
Hashtag who's David?
And what the fuck is the academy?
Yeah.
Are the two major questions. What is the school? Why are we here? Those are the two biggest questions, and they have essentially assured us that Hunter will eventually find the answer. And that was another very fourth wall breaking moment where they said, do you like how I point to the camera when I say fourth wall?
Yep.
Where they say, it's not my place to tell you.
You have to figure it out.
You have to figure it out. And that is so talking directly to the reader of, you really thought we were going to make this simple?
No, you got to figure it out yourself, stupid. That's basically what they're saying.
I really love that they bring up the fan theories stuff, though, because it's such a cool way to get you into it, because that's the reason.
And to get the community kind of talking about it.
And actually, I mentioned to Ricky, this is going to be a fun aside here, that I looked for a subreddit for Morning Glories.
Yes, you did.
On Reddit. And what I found was a different... I was at work when I found it. A different subreddit that has no posts, but is dedicated to men ejaculating on women's faces while they're sleeping.
Morning Glory.
Is apparently, which is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot about boners.
Which I'm going to say this, and this is a thought I had when we read Morning Glories #1.
Yeah.
When I originally saw the title Morning Glories, I went, are we going to be able to read that? This sounds like a very dirty graphic novel.
Which is hilarious.
It was nothing what I thought it would be.
Hilarious to me because when I first thought of Morning Glories, I was like, the plant?
No, I
The
didn't think
flower?
that. However, they do show that flower throughout the entire graphic novel.
One of us was right. One of us was wrong.
One of us, we
Wrong.
know where one was in the gutter and one was not in the gutter.
One was
That's
thinking about
basically what
flowers. Oh God!
Got derailed there.
Right. And it's so hot in this room too.
Mm-hmm.
I love that though. I love that because it made me want to find a subreddit. Mm-hmm. And I knew that if I found it, I wouldn't be able to participate because I'm about only halfway through. They're at issue 50 right now. Is the latest issue? It looks like.
We'll get there. We'll get there, young Padawan.
We'll talk about it. It's the last 2 issues have been a little
Mark is like, no more. This is where I end.
Disappointing. I'm not ready to end it yet, but I'm getting close. And yeah, so I love that aspect of it. But to kind of dive into some things, we have so many different things going on right now.
So many different paths being taken.
And it seems like by the end of it, they are starting to get back. And Casey essentially does a full reset. Much reminding me of Fringe, if anyone likes the TV show Fringe, where one of the seasons they basically reset reality, which somehow, I'm about to spoil Fringe, like season 4 right now, which somehow erased a character from existence. And what essentially happens here is at the end, Casey does something very similar. She goes and resets everything. Well, she eliminates powers and they restart.
Because she had hers was weird, and I had to reread this a couple times where it was her and the one teacher on a date, and then it's like he goes to kiss her, and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of weird. And she kind of pulls off like, whoa, how I'm as old as your son. But then she goes into the hotel, and it's like, whoa, okay, you're undercover.
God.
Then it shows a ton of different things where it's like, why is she doing this? Why did a bomb go off? What the hell is she doing?
Hold on. You just blew my mind.
Did I?
He just blew my mind.
Did I?
So you said, okay, before we were talking about this, I made a little joke about how creepy it was because she was about 4 years old when so Casey goes back in time.
Yeah.
And she does stuff for 12 years. She is back in time for 12 years. And then she becomes a teacher at her school.
Yeah.
And then becomes her
at her
own
original
teacher.
High school.
So,
yeah.
Future Casey becomes past Casey's teacher in disguise.
And had conversations with her.
Yes, she's her favorite student, obviously.
Yeah,
and
obviously.
They look a lot alike. They look like sisters. Anyways, and I made the reference of doing the math. She would have been 4 years old when she went back in time. Past Casey was 4 years old when future Casey got back in time. This stuff's confusing. And she says, I'm as old as your son. Or daughter. I'm as old as your son, and she says, my son's 4 years old. That's it. They at least they acknowledged it. Okay, that makes me happy. That makes me very happy.
So you're saying it kind of made your theory concrete that she was 4 years old when she came back?
It proves the math.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that at least they do that little subtle nod of because before you don't know how far back she is, and then you do it. The one thing I'll give credit to Morning Glories for is they are so good at referencing things that happened in the past and referencing things in the future. You mentioned all those, people blowing up, someone walking away with a knife. But in issue 13, we're going way back here. In issue 13, those were all things we saw before, but we saw a little bit earlier. So now...
So you're saying all the things that past Casey did with the black wig on we had seen before? Because I didn't remember seeing all those.
So
it's like everything that she's doing, I'm like, why is she doing this?
Not necessarily everything that she's doing. When we saw men exploding in a bomb, when we saw those type of things, a guy was walking away with stabbing. There was a little Asian girl that looked like she was scared and someone was trying to help her.
Okay.
We saw those. This was a little bit after what we saw in issue 13.
So this is the after effect. It happened and then she came after.
We saw those. We also, right before future Casey gets into a car accident.
Which was a very weird scene because she tried, it was like the Christian
song.
Bible talk.
Yeah.
And she kept trying to turn it off, but it wouldn't turn off.
And the last time that there was something else that happened, and I believe it might have been issue 13 again, where we heard the same Bible verse.
Okay.
And it has something to do seemingly with when she travels back and forward in time, when she touches the cylinder, these things all happen. That psalm happens, the flashes, those happen.
So you're saying she got into the car accident when her present self touched the cylinder.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it seems like. And the cylinder is this weird mythical cylinder that's there for some
because
reason.
the one thing I didn't understand when they were doing it was, did she actually make contact with the cylinder? Because Hunter's running at her like, Casey, no! And I didn't know if he tackled her in time.
But I don't know if he was trying to stop her or what he was really trying to do.
Because that was
clear.
Weird where Jade, like, they get to the door and older Jade's like, well, here you go. And it's like, whoa, they're at the cylinder room.
Yeah. And she's like, go do something, and he runs over there. I wasn't sure if he was trying to help her or if he was trying to get her after she did it and then be like, okay, I'm here for you. I don't really understand which route they were going. Notice how we keep having to say future this, future that, past this, past that. But when she makes contact with the cylinder, it started the powers. That's when the kind of supernatural stuff. Well, that's when the supernatural stuff really came into the mythos.
So when she touched it the first time.
Now, the second time she touched it,
all
seems like she took them away.
True. Because what's her face? I think it was Irene.
Irina. Yeah.
She was able to kind of have the men do whatever she wanted.
She had
seductive powers. And after she touched, so she did touch the cylinder. And then after that, it's like they lost the spell.
Yeah. And it seemed like Casey did it too. Casey compelled her mom to encourage the dad to say that Casey, oh my God, this is confusing, should go to the academy.
Because she talked to the mom and it's like, I'm not saying you're a bad mom.
And then she does the thing where she really looks at her, it goes black, and her eyes are slightly red. And it was weird. It looked like she was bleeding out of her eyes.
Yeah.
So there's
that
all these
might have
weird
been.
powers.
You're talking about the mom's eyes were red.
No, Casey's eyes were red.
I'm trying to think back to it, and I can't.
Yeah, Casey looks at her, and her eyes are red while she's kind of crying.
Okay.
And then her eyes look fine again once the mom freaks out and kind of runs away.
Yeah.
Because future Casey has to convince past Casey's parents
to let her go to the academy.
Let past Casey go to the academy
so they can die,
which results in past Casey's parents dying.
Well, Casey's parents die.
Well, past Casey specifically in this timeline.
Yeah, but even the fact that future Casey's parents, because parents just have already died.
It's what's my favorite thing in the world? Time loops. I hate time loops.
But that's why you didn't like Red Sun.
That's why I hated Red Sun for multiple reasons as well.
Is that why you're like, yeah, we'll see how much more we read of this because we're getting time loops?
Well, it's just kind of here's where we're at with this. There are so many different storylines. We had Hunter and future Jade, doing their own thing in Dream World.
Yeah.
We have future Casey doing a lot of weird things in the past, which are not really explained, which is now also like Casey Clarkson, because I think it was Mrs. Clarkson's the name.
Yeah.
She goes and has a kid.
With, I think it was Daramount's sister. The kind of, I'm trying to think of her name, starts with an L, where she's kind of like...
Lara?
Yeah, she's got like the Ranger outfit on. Yeah, Hodge.
Yeah.
She's got the Ranger outfit on of like the khaki shorts, the kind of button down.
Well, now she's in a dress.
Yeah.
But not that matters. So we have those things going on. We have a different Casey that we don't know. I don't know which Casey this is that comes back to the present.
Oh, and punches her.
Yeah. So there is future Casey, who's Casey Clarkson. This is getting confusing.
That's the teacher.
Past Casey, who's the student. Who's interacting with future Casey.
And then there's present Casey, who actually touched the cylinder.
Yes, but the weird thing is, present Casey became future Casey last graphic novel. So who is the Casey who came now? That's what we don't know. Because Hodge and future Casey are interacting, and then Hodge and present Casey are interacting. I don't know where present Casey came from.
You just blew my mind.
Let's hear it.
What if, and this is going to be a theory type thing, what if when she went to touch the so here's what happened.
Okay.
Present Casey, this is going to get confusing, stay with me.
Yeah.
Present Casey, the one that came back, punched Hodge in the face.
Yeah.
That was future Casey, but now she's back. Like, fuck all this shit. I'm coming back. She touches the cylinder. That's supposed to reset everything.
Yep.
Also resetting everything by how? The future Caseys that are already through the loop. The reason why that gets into the accident was it was supposed to kill her, but it didn't. And that's going to be a problem.
Which is possible, but my only...
Because remember, she wakes up and she's like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I'm fine. What if she was supposed to die?
My only
to reset
concern,
everything.
And that's totally possible, but my only concern is present Casey didn't age. Present Casey is still 16, 17 years old. And she was in the future, or future Casey was in the past for 12 years. So she should be... 29, almost 30 years old.
No, but what if it was like a Casey, because the loop keeps happening.
Yeah.
The loop is supposed to happen. What if it was a Casey that went, said, fuck this shit, came back and didn't do the 12 years?
No,
and when she touched the cylinder, was supposed to reset everything so that the time loop doesn't get fucked up. But this one Casey that's Miss Clarkson didn't die, and it's going to cause problems.
I have trouble believing that only because now we're adding a fourth Casey into it.
I could see it.
Because it's so fucking weird.
No. We still have three Caseys.
No, you added a fourth.
No, for what I'm
you
saying
added
is
future, past, present was a different Casey that's completely separate from this. And then we have
no.
We have future, past. I guess maybe there is only.
Here's what I'm saying. Past Casey's the child, the one that her parents needed to be coerced into letting her go. Present Casey's the one that touches the cylinder.
Yes.
When she touched the cylinder, all future Caseys should have died, but one didn't.
But then but you were saying that present Casey came from the future Casey timeline.
No,
so
what I'm saying is, so you know how the loop keeps doing over and over and over?
The way they do.
Yeah. So the present Casey goes back in time before she even gets far into the timeline, says, fuck this shit, and she comes back. Fucking up the timeline, but then touching it to...
The problem with that is then there has to be a fourth Casey, because there has to be... So there has to be a past Casey.
There are for a while.
There has to be a Casey that goes into the future and spends 12 years there. There has to be a Casey that went to the future and came back, but at the same time, there's another Casey that still is there. I don't know. It's just too much. It's hard. That's why I'm having trouble believing it, because it doesn't make sense to me.
It popped into my head after thinking of the car accident and then you saying that touching the cylinder resets everything.
Yeah, and that's
because I'm trying to wonder, why would you touch the cylinder and that would happen? Why would resetting everything put one Casey into a life or death situation? Yeah, because a car accident is most times, unless you're very lucky, you're dead.
Well, I mean, most car accidents are nothing. But
when she goes through the windshield, unless you're really lucky, you're dead.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that one. We're not going to answer it today, unfortunately.
And it was John who was, the only time we saw him, he was pissed. He just walked right out.
Yeah.
Because his brother's dead.
Which was surprising that he did nothing. Ike did nothing throughout this whole thing because he was knocked out the whole time.
Yeah.
But we basically have...
Ike almost died several times.
Yeah. We have so many different things going on.
Irina wanted to shoot him?
She wants to shoot him because apparently it seems like she believes... It sounds like she believes he is the son of Abraham. Which I would have thought the son of Abraham was David, but
I think it is.
Maybe not. But Tom is the dad of.
Yeah, you're right.
Tom is it. Well, it seems like Tom is. Tom plus Casey Clarkson make David.
What if Abraham is the father of Hunter? And that
we are Hunter. Maybe,
and that explains the kind of the vision thing.
I thought we met Hunter's dad.
Dad. What if it's a
Sure, but you can put dad in it. You can put dad in quotes for anybody.
What if it's saying, like, I'm your biological father. I don't want anyone to know you're my son because remember how we said Hunter is going to get the why are we here and what's the academy?
Yeah.
What if he knew that and was like, I can't put you in danger. That needs to happen.
Sure, it's possible, but I feel like I'm
just trying to come. I'm throwing theories out there. I'm trying to just throw stuff out there.
And I think that...
And that's the fun with this graphic novel.
It
you
is
can
fun.
do that. We can have these discussions.
This is why I love Morning Glories, the series. Mm-hmm. This one just personally...
You just didn't like this issue.
This one, my issue with this issue...
Or this volume, I should say.
With the volume, but I wanted to say issue twice. Was that we have all our characters kind of in different areas. Mm-hmm. Doing their own things. And... While at the same time, other things with those characters are happening too. Mm-hmm. So we have like 3 different cases that exist at the same time as future. Who am I missing?
Jade.
Future Jade, and Hunter are doing something.
Mm-hmm.
While at the same time, there's all this other stuff going on with Irina as well. There's so many things going on in different spots that it was difficult to follow. And it just made things a little bit more confusing. Mm-hmm. And we're 5 volumes in. We're at issue 30 at this point. And I still don't feel like very many, if not really any of my questions have kind of been answered.
What if that's the point, though, of this? The point of Morning Glories isn't to... Mm-hmm. What if, like, the thing they're trying to go with is we don't want... to have the typical, we throw something out and then answer it so many issues later.
Sure.
We want the conversation. We want people to talk about it.
Totally possible, but that's a terrible marketing side. To say, we're not going to answer your questions.
No, we are. We're just not going to answer them as soon as you want them.
But here's the thing.
We're going to make you kind of yearn for them and kind of tease you with things.
I was curious, so I went on Goodreads. Mm-hmm. And checked out some reviews. I went on Amazon and checked out some reviews. And they are overwhelmingly at a 3-star level.
For this one?
Yeah, for this particular volume. Okay. People saying, I'm a huge fan of the series. I think I'm calling it quits, though. And not that they can control that or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying... I think that's the point that a lot of people are at, and that's the point I found myself at as well, of like, I really love what you guys started. I don't know if I like where you guys are still at.
I'd give it one more. I'd give it one more volume. At least one more volume.
Because... And I was kind of wrong. I liked Truant's, although it added more questions. It was PE that I felt like I was like... When we got to volume 3, which was PE, I was like, come on, just answer me a question.
Yeah.
Just tell me something. Give me something.
Well, and that's why I was so hyped at the end of this, because one of the questions that I really wanted answered was #Who's David? And I even tweeted about it after I finished reading it.
But the hard thing is... I'm not trying to rain on your parade. Mm-hmm. We don't really know who David is. We just know who David's parents are.
Exactly, and that was enough. That was enough to think of it this way. The fire had been there since I asked the question, #Who's David? Mm-hmm. And the fire might have been dwindling. Mm-hmm. This wasn't something that completely answered the question, but it poured gasoline on it and brought the fire back to the hype level it was at, to where... Yeah. Now I feel like with the series, I'm going to be like, yes, we found out who David is, and then never find out who he really is.
Yeah, I really hope that they finally, in the next issue, in volume 6, I really hope we just get one question legitimately answered. That's all I need. You give me one question legitimately answered, and I will probably be satisfied. Probably not, but because I'll have 5 more questions, but I will probably be legitimately satisfied. It's interesting. I mean, I love the fact that future Casey is David's mom with Irrelevant Tom. Is what I'm going to call him.
Irrelevant Tom.
Because he's pretty irrelevant to the story, I'm guessing.
Irrelevant Tom.
Yeah, right? IT, with the IT department here. Now, that creates this huge time loop continuity error.
But you don't like those.
I don't like paradoxes. they bother me because it doesn't make sense. But
random question then.
Sure.
Did you like Flashpoint then? Because that's kind of a paradox.
I do like Flashpoint. Flashpoint's good.
Okay. That was just a random question I thought because you brought up paradox.
I mean, sometimes paradoxes are done very well. Other times they're done terribly. And
like
I mean,
Red Sun.
Yeah, I mean, my probably least favorite Harry Potter book is Prisoner of Azkaban, mostly because of the time paradox. And we don't need to get into that discussion because I've gotten into that argument before, and I still stand by the fact the time turner doesn't make sense. Anyways.
Did you get into that argument with your fiance? Is that who you got? Because I know she likes Harry Potter.
She loves Harry Potter a lot more than I do. No, actually, she's pretty on my side. She's pretty on my side. We both agree that Prisoner of Azkaban is not that great. Except for the Patronuses. That's the only cool thing that comes out of it. Anyways, it just creates the issue of, okay, so Casey was in this academy that interacted with David, ghost form David, when he becomes all ghouly and ghosty and murders people. But she's David's mom. So she had to have David in the future in order for David to fuck with her and her friends in the past.
Yes.
That's a time paradox. That doesn't make sense.
What if that was never supposed to happen?
Oh, I don't doubt that it was never supposed to happen, but it did happen in the past. And that's the issue, and people can get mad at me for time paradoxes, for time travel issues. I just personally think most people don't do time travel well enough in order to really pull it off.
What if that's the extra Casey?
Could be.
That's the extra one that you were talking about, how we got one that came back. What if that's the extra one? The one
that's David's mom?
The one that didn't do what she was supposed to do, hence why we have this.
My whole thing with these type of stories, and sometimes it works if you just kind of exclusively say, ignore the past, ignore the future, this is this timeline is what we're looking at. That's pretty much the only way you can do it. But no matter what happens, in order for something to happen in the past, if there's something that has to have happened in the future, they don't line up anymore.
Yeah.
Is the problem. David would have never existed in the beginning. Therefore, the events could not have happened that led to him existing in the future.
What if the only thing, though, that... Because this one's pretty simple. The only thing that needs to happen is that Casey gets sent to Morning Glories. That's the only thing that needs to happen for this. Anything else is irrelevant. But as long as Casey gets sent to Morning Glories.
And we won't know yet because of the fact that we don't know how important David is.
Because we see him in human form. However, when we were first introduced to him,
he's
like this ghost and boom, can put his hand through someone's head and kill them.
And we don't know. And that's why I was always under the assumption that David was Abraham's son. Because they say that something was going on with Abraham's son. It didn't go well. And that's really all we know about Abraham's son. So there's a whole huge wrench thrown in that theory as well. So I don't know.
I want to read the next one. That's the one where it's like, I want to give one more.
I'm totally into reading one more.
You can't leave me on the cliffhanger of hashtag Who's David. You can't leave me on that excitement mark.
I'm totally into reading more right now. I'm just saying they've gotten me to the point where I'm...
Answer a goddamn question.
Yeah,
that's
where
what
I'm
Mark's saying,
get to it, or I don't know if I'm going to be around to it. It's like when I kept watching The Walking Dead for like a season and a half.
Yeah.
And it's not because there was no questions answered, but I got to a point where I was like, all right, guys, you're
answer a question.
It wasn't answer a question. It was, you're really close to losing me. It's just not fun anymore. This is still fun, but it's getting frustrating. Is my issue.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything we didn't cover?
I'm satisfied with everything. Hashtag Who's David.
All right,
we found out who he is at least. He's Casey's son.
Casey Clarkson's son.
Yes.
Very specific. It's
Casey
future
Clarkson's
Casey's son.
I'm sorry.
We have all these timelines we have to kind of do things with them. I don't know. We'll see if any of them even matter next issue. I really hope, though, for next issue that they do get back to just telling a singular story with occasionally going into different timelines. Yeah. Let's stop jumping back and forth mid-page. So, Ricky, you're out of, what's your rating out of 5?
I'm going to say 3.5. 3.5 cylinders. Huh? And the reason why is it's kind of funny. When you said the reviews were more 3 out of 5, I'm going to say 3.5 because I enjoyed it. It was a good read. It got me thinking. However, besides the last thing of like, boom, here's David, it was very much like if this was an episode on TV, it was going to be that episode where it's like, not a lot happened. I don't know about this episode. Holy shit, cliffhanger.
So
and then it hooks
an
you into the
AMC
next
show,
week. Yeah.
is what you're saying.
It's an AMC show.
So maybe AMC can pick it up. God, I mean, shows like Breaking Bad and all that, and
you want to hear something funny?
They all are so much like that.
Want to hear something funny? Volume 6 on
don't ruin this
on Amazon, 3.1 out of 5.
But see, maybe that's the thing, and that's why I made the comparison to Lost, because the problem with Lost was season 1 was fucking incredible. Well, season 2 was really good.
Wasn't it at the end of the series it answered no questions?
Well, let me get to it.
Okay.
Season 2 was pretty good as well. Was really good, actually. Season 3, they started to kind of lose us. They weren't answering questions, and we were like, I don't think you know where you're going anymore. Season 4, everything was gone. They've jumped the shark already. Season 5 was the end of it, and they got to the end, and it was like, so we were right in episode 1. We were right the whole time. Can I spoil it? Ladies and gentlemen, can I spoil it?
They're in purgatory, right?
They're in purgatory.
I knew
the
that.
whole goddamn time they've been in purgatory.
I knew that.
We knew that from episode 1. And then they didn't answer anything else. How the fuck did the polar bear get there? We don't fucking know.
And that's,
what is? Oh,
and
God.
the only comparison I've heard to Lost recently is that's why like Game of Thrones is like, with season 8 we're gonna take our time with it because they legitly said we don't want a Lost situation.
Yeah. And they have no more source material really to go off of. So I mean that's my concern is right now that I'm a little afraid the writer has gotten to a point that the writers of Lost got to of saying
we got to keep it going.
We got to keep it going, and we've kind of
run out of
lost
ideas.
It. Not I don't even necessarily know if they've ran out of ideas because in Lost's case they had too many ideas, and they really let the snowball escalate out of control. My rating, which I'm actually surprised we're pretty close. I was just gonna give it a solid 3. I enjoyed reading it. I still enjoy Morning Glories, but it was a little frustrating. And there were great moments where I was like, hell yeah. And then other moments where I was like, oh, come on, guys. So yeah, I give it a solid 3.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why it's a 3.5 for me is the cliffhanger at the end pulled me in. It was like, this is pretty good throughout, not amazing. And then it was like, holy shit, cliffhanger, and then that got me excited.
Yeah. So for everybody who joined us today, thank you. This has been a very fun read. We always enjoy Morning Glories.
I can't wait to read the next one, only because I want to see if they do answer anything.
Yeah, hopefully. But we're gonna move forward into the future here. See, future. And we're gonna be reading
for a better future, Mark.
Marvel. Oh, wait, hold on. We gotta get to one thing. So
the note, is that what you're gonna bring up?
It happened at the very, very beginning of the book.
And
issue 1.
And he opens it while he's in the hotel room or in the hospital.
Yeah, it was just one of those like, oh shit. Doesn't mean shit. And they don't talk about it ever. Super subtle, but whatever. Anyways, Marvel Masterworks, The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. We're going to go back in time into 1962. And basically, obviously, Spider-Man's coming out, guys. We all know Spider-Man's coming out. We're probably pretty excited about Spider-Man. So we wanted to read it. We wanted to read some Spider-Man, and we went all the way back to the beginning, really to get the young, guilt-ridden Peter Parker with his fantastic spider powers and an unbearable pressure of the everyday teenager. This combination's pure magic, so we're excited really to get to it.
We're also going to have a special guest as well.
Yes, we are.
We have Johnny Carlick from the Rick and Johnny podcast joining us for that one.
So it's going to be fun. He's really, really excited to read some Spider-Man.
Marvel's his baby, so he'll be excited to jump on and
Which
talk
is
some
good,
Spider-Man.
because I feel like both of us are more DC fans.
I mean, me and him on the Rick and Johnny podcast always talk about, like, when it's a DC thing, he goes, well, this is your baby, and then lets me kind of go with it. Where it's Marvel, I'm like, well, this is your baby, Johnny.
Unless it's going to be the X-Men, I'm typically gonna pick up some DC first, unless in that case it's Aquaman, and I say, "What the fuck are you doing, making me read Aquaman?"
We are gonna read Aquaman, though.
I know that's.
I think that's next season.
Looking forward to it. So let us know down below in the comment section what you guys thought at Most Valuable Pod, at Ricky Widmer, at the Mark Weber. Put 2 E's in there. Dub them E's. And anything else that you guys need, let us know. Let us know what you want us to read. Stuff, your ideas about Morning Glories. You guys seriously should read it. We really love it. We're huge fans of it.
I like the series overall. It's just, let me see how the next one goes.
We need to see a little bit more. But we still had a lot of fun with it. So let us know down below. Subscribe to the channel, and of course, also hit that like button. That's pretty important. And share this to any friends of yours that might be into Morning Glories, or if there's someone you're trying to convince. Comics. Yeah, someone you're trying to convince that they should check this one out. Go ahead and share it as well. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks when we read Marvel Masterworks, The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1.